What I found interesting as I was studying this passage, both times that communion is mentioned here in the Gospels and also in Corinthians, in both instances, when they were here to remember communion, it was packed in an immense amount of selfishness and pride and conflict. And I thought to myself as I was studying today, because I had all these other notes and we were going to try to unpack what happened in Exodus. I said, God, why is that? Why is it that when you mention communion, there's this massive amount of conflict surrounding it? God, why is it that these men who are your disciples, look at what they say. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is the spot where Jesus is going to reveal his betrayer. No one knew about this. Jesus knew, and this is the moment where Satan enters his heart. And this is the moment he's revealing that he is the Passover lamb that's going to take away the sins of the world. In this cup, this blood, it's me. It's me and my sacrifice. And then at the moment, Satan's filling people. And then people are getting all jacked up and with pride. Oh, we're going to follow you to the death. He's like, you don't get it. Look at this. He does this beautiful message about the Passover and its significance. And then he says, verse 21, but the hand of him who is going to betray me is with mine at the table. The Son of Man will go as it has been decreed, but woe to that man who betrays him. Then his disciples start freaking out. Wait a minute, what's going on here? They said in verse 23, they began to question among themselves which of them it might be who would do this. Verse 24, which I find fascinating. Then the disciples, they're like, well, it's not me. It's not me. No, it definitely can't be me. So verse 24 says, also a dispute arose among them as to which one was considered to be the greatest. So Jesus is like, this thing's about me. And they're like, I'm the greatest. You're not. No, I'm going to beat you down, buddy. Hey, what about, and Peter's probably staring John down. Like, what's your problem? Why are you next to, that should be me. And you know, this is not even fair. And Jesus is like, it's me. And they're like, they don't get it. See, that's what I do in high school because they start falling asleep and I got to start jumping. If I got to start yelling and jumping, right? Because I see them in the long day. So I get excited about this because I just find it just fascinating, just interesting. And Jesus' revelation about himself is piped in this massive amount of conflict. The disciples are choking. They're choking on their drink. It's not you. And then Judas is, Satan's filling Judas's heart and he's going off to betray him. And Jesus just sitting there and he knows everything that's going on. So as I thought about this time, because growing up as a kid, I'd come to communion services. I'd go with my mom. I was forced to, so I can relate. And I'd go to this thing. They'd pass me this little thing. And like, this thing is so immensely dry. And then the drink practically would choke me. And and then I'd try to sing these songs. I'm like, I can't do it. And I'm like, what is this? This is torture. I don't know, this is a Christian thing. Who thought of this idea? I'm like, I totally didn't even get it. What it becomes part of our religion. It becomes part of what we do. I'm a good Christian because I've been baptized and I take communion, whatever that means, but I'm good because of these things. In the same way that we have this immense amount of conflict around what we do in communion, we don't get it. We don't get it. And so for me, looking at communion is this part of this meal that Jesus has with these men, his disciples, at the lowest part of his ministry, in a very difficult time. When these men, it's interesting also, by the way, if you read John's account, Thomas is like, we don't even think we know the way where you're going. Where are we going to go? We don't know the way. Jesus is like, don't let your heart be troubled. Don't let your heart be troubled, Thomas. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. He said that at this time. He was throwing all these things where we're like, yes, these are great verses, to this distraught, conflicted group of people. God, what is the way? What are we doing?